Well, look at you out on a Thursday night, on a school night. Wow. You picked a good night to come out, folks. I can't think of a better way for you to spend your evening. Welcome to the 2022 West Texas Walk of Fame induction ceremony. We are so glad that you came out here tonight. We have a lot of things planned, maybe even a surprise or two. My name is James Epler. I'm with KCBD News Channel 11 and Good Day Lubbock on Fox 34, also on the Civic Lubbock Board of Directors, and I am the chairman of the West Texas Walk of Fame. It's too much. I'm just into too many things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But what we're doing tonight is something that is very dear to my heart, and I'm glad that we can all be here to share this together. On behalf of the Civic Lubbock Board of Directors, I would like to welcome all of you this evening as our guests. Now, Civic Lubbock is governed by a board of directors, and we have a few of them here tonight. I'd like to just rattle off names because I can't see anyone, so I can't point you out. So, if you're on the Civic Lubbock Board of Directors, please stand. Grace Gonzalez is our president. We have Dr. Idris Traylor, Christy Cage, Jim Douglas, Beverly Macbeth, Lindley Herring, Roger Carr, Emily Wilkinson, Sammy Prather, and Kathy Horkey-Wolf. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We'd like to also recognize other special guests in attendance. If you are a past inductee of the West Texas Walk of Fame, please stand. We have one on stage tonight. Carrie Banks is here. Gents, nice to see you here. We are here because of your legacy, so thank you for being here this evening. We are also pleased to have some sponsors. Now, I want to tell you who these folks are so that you can patronize them. I mean, shop and give them your business, not give them pithy comments, not that kind of patronizing, just so we're clear. I'd like to thank Caldwell Entertainment, Visit Lubbock, the Museum of Texas Tech University, the Southwest Collection, Advanced Graphics, Lubbock Moonlight Musicals, the Buddy Holly Center, and the City of Lubbock. Now, speaking of the City of Lubbock, and can I just preach for just a moment? Just one thing here. Part of having a music heritage and a culture that supports the arts is having leadership in our city that understands the value of those things. Not just the history, but the fact that arts, entertainment, and those who create it are big economic drivers for our city, bringing people here and enhancing our quality of life. And to have city leadership that understands that is super important. And so with that, I'd like to welcome to the stage City Councilman Mark McBrayer, who's going to give us a special welcome on behalf of the City of Lubbock. Sir?
Good evening. Every day is a great day to live in Lubbock, but this is an especially great day today. It's my privilege to welcome you all to the 2022 Texas Walk of Fame induction ceremony. And I want to say a special thank you to the Civic Board, Civic Lubbock Board, and the staff for hosting this event tonight. These people work all year long. They're very dedicated, and without that dedication, all year long, this wouldn't happen. So we appreciate you all very, very much. I also want to extend my most sincere congratulations to this year's Walk of Fame inductees, the four that we're inducting tonight. These folks are joining a long list of outstanding men and women, artists in all fields who've made West Texas one of the nation's best places for performing in visual arts. They've made it what it is today. It's inspiring, and its influence goes way beyond the city limits of Lubbock. So we thank you for what you have done, not only for your art, but for this city. And having called Lubbock and West Texas my home for over 65 years, I can certainly attest to the outstanding talent that comes out of this city and this region. It's incredible. I've grown up with a lot of them. I've certainly listened to all of them. And it's just something about Lubbock, about West Texas, something about the red dirt and the blue skies that just causes music and arts to take root and to blossom. I tell you, it is something else. And Lubbock, if you didn't know it, was the first cultural district formed here in the state of Texas, right here in the Hub City. And thousands of artists come here every year to create, to draw inspiration, and to discover new ways of improving and performing their art. I tell you, the vast horizons, the blue skies, the beautiful scenery, the wildlife around here, that's what I think causes a lot of this art to bloom. And I tell you, I've just spent quite a bit of time recently in Europe, and the sunsets in Texas and in Lubbock, they can't be beat. There's just nothing like them. And I think that's the source of a lot of inspiration for our artists here. It's easy to understand why so many people draw inspiration and so many pioneers in their fields come out of Lubbock and come out of West Texas. So to tonight's inductees, we thank them for being a shining light, for their excellence and their commitment to their art and to this region, and for showing the nation and the world knows about Lubbock, the amazing things that we have to offer here. As I said, today is a great day, and we have the honor of recognizing these talented individuals and the importance of our homegrown talent, their creativity, and their genius. Lubbock is not a museum of the arts, it is a workshop of the arts. It is creating new art every day right here, art that we can be proud of, and artists that are going to be sitting here in the future as well. So thank you all for being here tonight. I look forward to celebrating our region's finest talent with this incredible community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilman McBrayer, for being here to represent the city. So let's talk about what we're doing here tonight. In case you didn't know, just a brief history lesson here. The West Texas Walk of Fame was established back in the late 70s. So Jerry Coleman and Larry Corbin and Waylon Jennings and others wanted to find a way, first of all, to recognize Buddy Holly in his hometown. And out of that came the statue that now sits at 19th and Crickets Avenue by Grant Speed. But they also wanted to find a way to honor so many others who came out of Lubbock and this area that have made an impact on the arts and culture and the entertainment field. And tonight, we had 4 more names to the West Texas Walk of Fame. The honorees this evening: the late Hoyle Nix, the late Bess Hubbard, Jody Nix, and Amanda Shires. Well, let's get started, shall we? At this time, I'd like to ask Joe Specht, a Texas music historian, to come to the podium and introduce our first inductee, Hoyle Nix.
Good evening. It's a special honor for me to be here tonight, and I want to thank Jody for asking me to talk about his dad some. Even more so because the first time we had a chance to dance to the music of Hoyle Nix and the West Texas Cowboys was right here in the Hub City. I had started working at the Tech Library in 1973, and the next year, for a couple of months, Nix and the boys began a regular Thursday night booking at the Saddle Bronc Club on 50th Street. Some of you might remember the Saddle Bronc. And Alice and I have been scooting a boot to the Nix beat ever since, 48 years and counting. Because our time is limited, as Don has reminded us numerous times tonight, I'll focus on a few dates of importance in the Nix chronology and let Hoyle do most of the talking, excerpts from a 1977 interview that we had at the Stampede. November 11th, 1946. One of the questions I asked him was, when did you first start performing professionally? Here's what Hoyle had to say. We started playing on November 11th, 1946 at Yale's Inn, a little place out west of Big Spring. It was owned by Elliot Yale. He was a farm boy who opened a nightclub, and he kept after me to play. I finally told him yes, so I started my band, the West Texas Cowboys. You will note that November 11th, 1946 date, the second Saturday in November. And what is the second Saturday in November? This Saturday. And at the Stampede on Saturday night, for those of you who can still make it over there, we'll be dancing to 76 years of Nix family music. We always hear Bob Wills' name come up when Hoyle's name is mentioned as well. So what about that Bob Wills connection? We're not sure of the date, but the year is 1952. Hoyle said, "I met Bob in Colorado City in 1952. We was playing every Friday night at the American Legion Hall, and they wanted to book him. He was coming through this country, and they said, 'Would you move over for Bob Wills?' And I said, 'More than happy to, because I'd like to meet the man.' That's where I first met him, and we became good friends after that. I also worked with him since 1952, our bands traveling together across West Texas. He would play half the dance, and I'd play half the dance, which created a lot of excitement." Indeed. And this is an arrangement that continued until Bob had his second heart attack in 1964. Our next date is July 1960. An 8-year-old Jody joined the West Texas Cowboys as drummer. And he and older brother Larry, who had started on bass 3 years earlier, comprised the rhythm section for the West Texas Cowboys for the next 25 years. Hoyle had this to say about Jody. "He was so small when he first started out, I couldn't hardly see him back there. But he had rhythm like nobody, for my band, rhythm that came from inside here." The first song that all four brothers, Hoyle and Ben, Larry and Jody, played on together was "Cornflower Waltz," which dates to 1961 on Slim Willett's Winston label. And here's that 45 on Winston, "Cornflower Waltz." The younger Nix was also developing his fiddle prowess. As Hoyle recalled, "I started my own fiddle, that's all. He picked it up so fast that I didn't have time to teach him anymore. The only thing I done was start him playing what they call over the bass on a right-handed man's fiddle. He takes my fiddle at the dances and he plays over the bass." For those of you who saw them back in the day, you'll remember when Jody did step out on occasion, he played his father's instrument, and he continues to string his own fiddle for our right-hander even today. Our next date is December 3rd, 1973. To further emphasize the Wills-Nix relationship, let's move forward to December 3rd, 1973. Bob invited Hoyle and Jody to come to the Summit Burnett studio in Dallas to participate on a recording session with a group of former Texas Playboys, what became known as For the Last Time album. And many of you probably have this album. It's also on CD. Hoyle explained, "Bob called us, and of course we were tickled to get on it. He was great. He came in there in his wheelchair, and he was in real good spirits. He couldn't do much hollering, but he did the best he could. Jody was the last boy that he ever hollered at, just barely on When You Leave Amarillo. Then he went home around 5 o'clock. He got tired, and that night he had a massive stroke, and the next day I done all the hollering." Charles Townsend, Will's biographer, was in attendance the second day without Wills present. When the band recorded San Antonio Rose, Townsend recounted, "Hoyle Nick took Bob's part and hollered. There were few dry eyes in the studio because Hoyle sounded so much like Bob." Our next date, April 25, 1977. This was 4 years later when Hoyle recorded his first and last album at the Summit Burnett studio. It was called Hoyle Nix and his West Texas Cowboys, Texas Style. And of course, it was released on the latest technology. Hoyle was proud of his results. "We done something that Bob Sullivan, who runs the studio, said no other band had ever done. We cut 36 numbers in 8 hours. Most bands, it takes them 2 or 3 hours to cut one number." And finally, in our 1977 interview with Hoyle, I asked him, "Do you have any more goals in life?" "Well, I'd like to play for them 30 more years if I could. When I get to where I can't play or the people get tired of me in this part of the country, why my youngest son, Jody, will probably take the band and the bus, and he'll be probably playing right here in the Stampede, right where I played. And that's where Jody will be on Saturday night. It is more appropriate then that Hoyle Nix and Jody Nix join the West Texas Walk of Fame together, or as Hoyle proclaimed in a Big Balls in Cowtown, "Come in, mama, the hogs done got me, suey."
Thank you so much, Joe. That was fun. So at this point, I would like to ask Hoyle's son Jody to come up and accept this award. Step over here. So let me read the proclamation here. Lubbock and the West Texas area are rich in heritage and contributions from many gifted people in the fields of art, music, and entertainment. The Civic Lubbock Board of Directors takes pride in honoring Hoyle Nix as one of these outstanding contributors and pays tribute to the individual and the great talent exhibited. West Texas Walk of Fame, inducted 2022.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Joe. I've said this before, and I'll say it from now on. There is nobody more qualified to tell the story about music in the Nix family than Joe Specht. Guarantee you. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for this wonderful honor. I know he would be happy about all this. I feel like he's with us in spirit tonight. I did have the privilege and honor of working with him for 25 years, from the time I was 8 years old till I was 33 when he passed away. And we spent a lot of time together traveling West Texas. He was a man of integrity. He was quite a character at times, as most of you that know him and followed him know that. He was an old cowboy at heart. He loved to play the fiddle. He loved his family. And nobody in the state of Texas or the world loved Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys more than him, I guarantee you. He left a mark, he and my Uncle Ben, in West Texas that I think will never be erased. And they set the bar real high. And I'm still out there looking at it, but have not got up there. I've not ever tried to copy them. I've just tried to keep the tradition going. And from my heart, I thank you all. We're very honored on behalf of the Nix family, my brother and my sister. We thank you so much for this great honor. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Jody. We'll have more with you later, so please don't leave. I'd now like to mention our next one is Bess Hubbard. And to come to the stage, Taylor Ernst is the Arts Collections Manager at the Museum of Texas Tech University, and she is going to talk about Bess Hubbard. Taylor?
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Walk of Fame Committee and Bess's family for having me up here to speak about her tonight. As James said, I'm Taylor Ernst, and I'm a Collections Manager for the Art Division at the Museum of Texas Tech University. A little background on Bess. Bess was born in 1869, and she grew up in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. She attended Texas Christian University and eventually moved to Lubbock when she met her husband Chester when she was visiting her cousin in Lubbock. They made their life here in Lubbock and had one son, Burl. And as I said, Bess's two grandchildren, Laura and Clay, are here tonight, and we really are fortunate to have them here. They've been a lot of fun today to get to know. Originally, Bess's interest in art was only a hobby until about 1920 when she started to take her study of art more seriously. She spent 2 weeks with an artist named Xavier Gonzalez while Chester fished. And the study under Gonzalez really helped to form her passion and her drive into making art and studying different types of art. She started to enter in her local artworks into regional art shows and won many prizes at these events. In 1934, one of her etchings went on a traveling exhibit through Texas with the Texas Fine Arts Show. This led to a larger audience not only in Texas and the United States, but also internationally. By the mid-1950s, Bess was receiving awards from the Denver Art Museum, the Argent Gallery, the National Academy of Design, and exhibiting her artwork in New York, London, and Bern, Switzerland, just to name a few. A focus of her artwork through her life was sculpture, but she had other interests as well, including painting and printmaking. Later in life, she designed jewelry and stained glass in her basement, as the grandkids told me today. Bess continued her art education throughout her life, often thinking of herself as a student and never the master. Echoing her early endeavor with Xavier, she continued to explore other well-known artists in time, including Otis Dozier, Ernest Freed, and William Zorak. She never stopped educating herself, and in turn brought that knowledge and those experiences back to Lubbock and West Texas. Her artwork of Lubbock and the surrounding areas give a unique snapshot of how Lubbock was expanding and growing in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. From her lithograph Progress that's in the lobby of the Civic Center tonight, you can see her rendition of the Lubbock skyline from about the 1960s. It shows the Lubbock Hotel, a fried chicken joint and barbecue restaurant in the foreground. Those buildings you can still find today in downtown Lubbock. Another example of her strong line work is Power. It's a view in an alley in downtown Lubbock, and it should be rotating behind me. A maze of power lines and power poles are up close to the viewer and in your face, with a hazy skyscraper in the background. I wonder if she caught that view on a dust storm day. Bess's work spans 50 years, from the 1920s to the 1970s, right before her death in 1977. She had a profound impact on the Lubbock art scene at the time, and bringing her knowledge from her travels and her studies under other artists made a huge impact in our community that's still felt today. She was a mentor to young artists of the time and developed working relationships with other artists in the area. Bess's work is housed in a few museums: the Elizabeth Nett Museum, the Dallas Museum of Art, the Texas Fine Arts Association, the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, and of course the Museum of Texas Tech University. And I've been talking a lot about Bess's art. Another part of her life that was extremely important was her family. I'd like to close with a quote from Bess where she described herself as first, last, and always, a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taylor. That was really nice. So now I would like to ask Beth's granddaughter, Laura Hubbard Bickers, and grandson, Clay Hubbard, to join me at the podium. So let me read the proclamation again. Lubbock and the West Texas area are rich in heritage and contributions from many gifted people in the fields of art, music, and entertainment. The Board of Directors for Civic Lubbock, Inc. takes pride in honoring Bess Hubbard as one of these outstanding contributors and pays tribute to the individual and the great talent exhibited. West Texas Walk of Fame inducted 2022.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Taylor. Without a doubt, there's not a hesitation. Our grandmother, Bess Hubbard, would be overwhelmed and so deeply honored by this recognition. As Taylor mentioned, art was a part of who she was. Kind of started out dabbling in as a hobby, but it was really much more than that. It was her passion. It was her life's calling. And while we grew up very much aware of that's who she was quite a personality and a woman of, she really thrived on and enjoyed having some recognition during her lifetime of her work as she was producing and as her work was evolving. But to be remembered, for any of us to be remembered long after we're gone, for her, this is 41 years after Bess died, and for her to be remembered and for her work to be valued and still considered significant, she would be deeply, deeply moved, as are we, as her grandchildren. So we thank you. And now my brother will trade places.
Good evening, and thanks to the Civic Lubbock organization. And I am Clay Hubbard, a grandson of Bess Hubbard. I join my sister in thanking Civic Lubbock on behalf of my grandmother for this signal honor, and this most unexpected one as well. Unexpected is perhaps a poor choice of words, because if grandmother were here, I know that she would want to thank the Lubbock community at large for its continued support that it gave her throughout her entire life. When Laura and I were growing up with grandmother on her house on 1815 Avenue K across from the old Alderson Cadillac, for those of you who remember that, Womble Olds, for those of you who are really old, I know how many of the pieces that Taylor presented in the slideshow behind us, we were there when they were being created or they were being refined. But so we know that so many of those things, those originated in grandmother's Lubbock roots. When the First National Bank, okay, now it's Wells Fargo, and the new tower, to me new, is now very much an old tower, was first built, the bank had commissioned two bronze statues from grandmother. The First Christian Church with Dr. Dudley Strain has two pieces, several pieces that grandmother did on religious themes. There are collectors within the within the city of Lubbock that collected grandmother's work. People like Jay Matzler and Charles Adams, Jack Sheridan from the Avalanche Journal. And of course, local galleries, the Baker Gallery and Charles Adams Gallery itself. And we must actually remind ourselves about the support given grandmother in the local institutions such as the Garden of Fine Arts, the Master Garden and Arts Center, the Texas Tech Museum, or West Texas Museum was when we were growing up, and its successors, and people such as Isabel Howe, who had written a monograph on her, and the Texas Art and Architecture Department, and people like Charles Kincaid and Richard Cheatham. I know most of those names are unfamiliar to most of you who are in this audience, but it illustrates how Lubbock has shown its pride in my grandmother's work, and being part of that Walk of Fame continues that tradition. That the Walk of Fame commemorates all types of artists, regardless of their medium, I think would please her a great deal, because like all artists, grandmother was not tied to a medium. It is not the medium that is the art; it is the artist. And so grandmother, as you heard from Taylor, evolved from doing oils and landscapes to doing lithographs and painting, lithographs and etchings. Then it was sculpture. Some of it was bronze. Some of it was using hammer and chisel. But the whole point of all of these was to use her vision and her passion as a way of transforming the ordinary, the normal, the customary into something that would allow the user, the listener, to engage and interact with that art, and to take away from that art and that engagement and that a new perspective that would help them understand what they were looking at from a different point of view. And that is part of what we, as her grandchildren, take with us. And one of the things that just a quick note, and this is triggered by the art that we saw on the screen, is that I learned about the landscape and the people of northern New Mexico, which you saw illustrated in some of those slides, by living with those pieces of art. I was fortunate enough to be able to live to spend time in northern New Mexico around the Taos area for the last 20 years. And when I arrived, I realized that it was not a strange land to me, and I was not a stranger in that strange land, because through the transformative power of my grandmother, I felt like I had a spiritual and emotional connection to the people and the landscapes of northern New Mexico. And thus, that is the power of art, and that's the power that I think you are recognizing tonight, for which we are deeply, deeply appreciative. Thank you very much.
I hope you all got a chance to see the artwork out in the lobby, and we want to thank the Museum of Texas Tech for helping make that possible. Bess Hubbard's work, please, if you didn't get a chance to see it, please take a look at it. So, y'all want to do another one? Okay, let's keep it going then. I'm having fun. Our next honoree is Jody Nix, and I know I'm not supposed to play favorites. I'm supposed to remain fair and balanced, but to introduce Jody Nix is one of my favorite local musicians, Mr. Kerry Banks.
Howdy. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Don Caldwell, James Epler, all the folks at Civic Lubbock, and all the members of the Walk of Fame committee for inviting me to be part of this momentous occasion. And I can honestly say, my friend, I am very humbled to be doing this. So many of Jody's friends and fans and family have waited and worked a long time to see this glorious night come to be, and we are all mighty proud to see it. Jody and I have been friends and fellow musicians since our days in the drum line in the Coahoma High School band in Coahoma, Texas, where my government teacher and football coach was Spike Dykes. Now, as a young wannabe musician myself, it was very cool to know that this extremely talented young friend of mine was already a working professional musician playing drums in his dad's band. And I got a firsthand look at what it meant in the music business to pay your dues by watching Jody show up at 8 o'clock in the morning for marching band rehearsal after he played all night before at the Golden Nugget in Lubbock. Getting home about 4 or 5 in the morning, just in time to get ready for school. A few times, Jody snuck a few musician friends and me into the legendary Stampede to listen to the band. That's very cool. Now, Jody and I, our career paths have gone quite a bit different directions, but I've always been extremely proud of all the things that Jody has accomplished. After several years of playing drums, Jody stepped up to the center stage as an incredible swing fiddler and an awesome vocalist. I was awestruck when Jody and his dad Hoyle were both featured on the Grammy-winning album Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys for the last time around. Jody was a featured vocalist, and the album received, and Jody received himself a Western Heritage Wrangler Award from the National Cowboy Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City, and that award was presented to Jody by the legendary Gene Autry. Just a few, and I mean just a handful of the many honors and awards Jody has received in his long, illustrious career include Mr. CHS and Most Talented Boy, Coahoma High School. And that's stepping in some pretty high cotton right there, my friends. He's recorded 11 albums of his music, was guest performer on both Grammy-winning Asleep at the Wheel tribute to Bob Wills albums. He was guest artist and performer on the original theatrical production, Ride with Bob. He's featured in the brand new documentary film, The Birth and History of Western Swing. He represented the state of Texas at the Smithsonian Folk Music Festival in Washington, D.C. He's been inducted into the Western Swing Hall of Fame in Sacramento, California, the Texas Western Swing Hall of Fame in San Marcos, Texas, the Western Swing Music Society of the Southwest, the Northwest Western Swing Society Hall of Fame in Washington State, the Cowboy Society of Western Music Living Hero of Western Swing Award, the Cowboy Hall of Fame at the Heritage Museum in Big Spring, Texas, and in my humble opinion, the most significant award on all those awards is Man of the Year Award 2020 from the Big Spring Chamber of Commerce, Big Spring, Texas. Yeah. And there's no better example of how he and why he won that award than my personal story here. Last year, my mom, Doris Banks, turned 90 years old. We had a big party for her at a little venue in downtown Big Spring, Texas. And literally family and friends from all over the country showed up to have this great celebration. We had all kinds of food and snacks and fellowship. My sister Toya and I and a couple of other relatives played music during the day, and everybody had a great time. Halfway through the big celebration, in the door walks Jody Nix. He goes over to my mom, gives her a big old birthday hug and congratulations, and then he comes up and sings some songs with us at that party. Now, I know Jody had been traveling all over the state of Texas that week and that weekend, and probably got home really late that night, but he took the time to come and be a part of the celebration of my mom's birthday. Yeah. And I guarantee you, Jody, all of us that were there, family and friends, kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, everybody that was there, will cherish that moment forever. And my mom's big comment about that day was, well, you know, it just ain't anybody that gets to have a famous country music star come and sing to her on her birthday. Indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the incredible, talented, kind, gracious, and generous man we are honoring here tonight. My longtime friend, Jody Nix.
So good. Carrie, thank you so much. Jody, if you'd come to the stage. Now, I know this isn't the same as Most Talented Boy, but
It's close.
it's close. Let me read the proclamation, which you should all have memorized by the end. There will be a test. Lubbock and the West Texas area are rich in heritage and contributions from many gifted people in the fields of art, music, and entertainment. The Board of Directors of Civic Lubbock, Inc. takes pride in honoring Jody Nix as one of these outstanding contributors and pays tribute to the individual and the great talent exhibited. West Texas Walk of Fame inducted 2022.
Thank you, James. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise be to my Lord Jesus that instilled the love of music, gave me a talent, I guess the day I started breathing, because I've loved music all my life. And those of you that know me know that. Carrie, what an honor to share this with you. Thank you for the wonderful, wonderful speech. I have so many friends here. I see a lot of familiar faces here. I'm so honored, so blessed to be a part of this. I had no idea that this was going to happen. Carrie told me several years ago, we're working on it. And Don Caldwell called me about 2.5 months ago and said, after 5 years, we got it. I didn't even know, I had heard that this existed, but I really wasn't sure. And to be honored here tonight in this Walk of Fame with the likes of course, being inducted with my dad is so special. And with the great Bob Wills, Buddy Holly, Waylon Jennings, the Maines brothers. I see 2 of them sitting out there. Jerry and Kenny, I love you, man. Good to see you. I hope we get to visit. We're on that hard Amarillo highway, are we not? My favorite Maines brothers song. I did start very young, 4 years old, in my grandmother's living room playing the drums. She bought me my first set, and that's where they stayed set up until I was 16 years old, practicing all the time. I started full-time with my dad the summer of 1960, July of 1960. A little quick story, if I may. Their main drummer, his name was Kenneth Lane. He got sick, and he couldn't make it that night, and I was just a little 8-year-old farm boy at home. They got there, found out Kenneth was sick. They called, told my uncle's wife, Iba Joe, my aunt, clean Jody up, get him a white shirt, bring his drumsticks, bring him to the bus. We got to have a drummer. That's where it started. Brownfield, Texas, the American Legion. I'll never forget it. That's 62 years ago this past July. And there were 4 former Texas Playboys that worked with Bob Wills on my daddy's band at that time. I became a man that night on the bandstand. They played the songs. They didn't turn around and ask me, do you know this, do you know that? They kicked them off. It was either do it or not. And I guess I did it because I held that job for 25 years with my dad. And I was always honored to be with him. And, of course, father and son, we had our moments. All of us have done that. But overall, I wouldn't take the time that I got to work with him and get to work with the great Bob Wills. I missed some things in school, but I was honing my craft to get to do what I've always done. And when we lost my dad in 1985, unexpectedly, I thought, well, what now? You can either do it, try it, or let it all go. 37 years later, I am still going. And we still work 100 to 115 dates a year across the great state of Texas. I'm honored and humbled every time the phone rings. I've always said I have the best booking agent in the world. My Lord Jesus has kept that phone ringing all these years. We got an offer for 1.5 years away the other day, and I'm going to take it. We have played for presidents, President George H.W. Bush in 1989. We were honored to do that. We rode on the Texas float in the inaugural parade. And another little quick story. Don, you said I could have 45 minutes. I'm going to take 50. No. But anyway, we did get to go to Washington, D.C. to be a part of that for the president's inauguration. Just as we turned on Pennsylvania Avenue, I timed this just right. We hit San Antonio Rose. Just as we were going in front of the viewing stand, there was President Bush and Reverend Billy Graham standing right there beside him. And they both gave me the thumbs up when we went by. And that's an honor I'll treasure forever. And to play the black tie and boots ball for 6,000 misplaced Texans. That was that was quite an honor within itself. I have been able to be a part of the Bob Wills Day celebration in Turkey, Texas for 46 years. 36 on my own, 10 with my old dad. We played the Stanford Rodeo Dances Texas Cowboy Reunion for 36 years. I love every place I've played, every place I'm going to play. But Bob Wills Day in Turkey and the Stanford Rodeo Dance is what really got me started on my career, and those 2 will always be 2 of my very, very favorites. I'm honored beyond measure to be a part of this. I thank you from my heart. I appreciate it again. Thank you, Carrie. Thanks to all the board. Thank you, Don. I love you. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jody. I wonder if we could trouble you. Could we have a song? Just one quick one? Just a quick one. As they get set up, folks, we have a few surprises on the way still this evening and one more honoree to come. But now, please welcome to the stage Mr. Jody Nix and Carrie C. Banks.
That's Carrie Craig. Come on up here. We were asked to do this a couple of days ago, and I called Carrie and I said, hey, man, you want to play one? He said, oh, yeah. Absolutely. So let's do it. We're in Bob Wills country, so let's do a little Maiden's Prayer, all right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carrie Craig. I think I'm one of 3 people that still call him that.
Y'all having fun yet? Man, this is great. So, on to our final honoree of this evening, and I will tell you, I was honored to be able to tell Amanda Shires personally that she had been chosen for induction to the West Texas Walk of Fame. It was when she played at the Cactus Theater in 2020. It was at the end of February in 2020, and something happened after that. It's a blur, but so I got to go backstage and invite her to be inducted into the West Texas Walk of Fame, which was a huge honor. I'm a fan of hers. And when I asked her, she said, I told her, you can choose someone to introduce you into the West Texas Walk of Fame. And she said, anybody? I said, yeah. This is who she chose. I'd like to ask Shelby Morrison, a longtime friend of Amanda's and the Director of Cultural Operations and Artist Relations for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, a native of Smyre. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Amanda Shires is magic. All I ever had to do was just follow her around. When we lived here, we would jump in the car and she would take me to a house out in the middle of the country and say, this guy invented the Hawaiian slide guitar and we're gonna hang out with him, with all the excitement of Christmas morning. She would take me to meet Tommy Alsop, who played with Bob Wills and Buddy Holly, and he became a great friend and supporter. I would drive her to the Ranching Heritage Center and sit there eating kettle corn, watching her play the fiddle like her life depended on it. We would stay up all night at fiddle clinics, us and all the Western swing guys, as they tried to teach us about drinking Scotch whiskey, us giggling and me trying to figure out what the hell I was even doing there. We would shop all the vintage stores until we both found dresses to wear to the cowboy dances that she played with the Texas Playboys. Here she is on stage, full of moxie, me in the audience, inevitably running into a distant family member who also wondered what the hell I was doing there. I was there for her. Everyone else thought I was her mom, which is a huge compliment. I was her road mom, her sister, her bouncer, pretty much anything she needed me to be. Amanda Shires is a prophet. She is a pioneer. And it's hard to be a pioneer. No, hard isn't the right word. It is seemingly impossible to do what she does, what Bob Wills did, what Buddy Holly did, to share the stories and talent that only they could do when at first no one understands it and no one really gets it. Imagine in your own line of work, you create a new process, a new structure, and everyone scratches their heads and has no idea what to do with you. Amanda, like Bob and Buddy, created a new sound and is way ahead of her time. I met Amanda Shires in 2001 at the Spoon, which I understand still exists, which makes me very happy. I was working at the Buddy Holly Center, and my coworker Lucy and I were looking for some local bands to play the newly minted summer concert series. And we knew that the Spoon would be a great place to start with its history of continuing the legendary Sunday jams. A band, the Thrift Store Cowboys, were on stage, and we were blown away by these kids. Yes, Thrift Store Cowboys. We introduced ourselves and told them that we wanted to book them for a show. I wasn't sure they believed us until Amanda showed up at the Buddy Holly Center the next morning, and I knew in that moment, not only would we be lifelong friends, but that she was a rising star. She took it seriously. She has always been driven and compelled to succeed and share her voice with the world. At the time, which was 21 years ago, she was 19 years old and had already been playing with Bob Wills' Texas Playboys for several years. For us, music was everything. Amanda is an outlaw. She has released 7 solo albums since 2005, including her most recent critically acclaimed masterpiece, Take It Like a Man, which she is currently in the middle of a nationwide tour to support. She has shared the stage with some of the most important and iconic artists in music, including her special relationships with the late greats Billy Joe Shaver and John Prine. She has performed and recorded with a myriad of phenomenal artists, from Dolly Parton and Luke Combs to Justin Townes Earle and Cyndi Lauper. They don't play country women. They don't play women on country radio in the same numbers as men. Amanda is changing that. She's a game changer. She is authentic, and she commands respect. In 2019, she founded an all-female country music supergroup, the High Women, alongside Brandi Carlile, Maren Morris, and Natalie Hemby. The High Women just performed on a Loretta Lynn tribute on CMT last week. That was pretty cool to watch. In 2011, she appeared in the movie Country Strong as a member of Gwyneth Paltrow's band. In 2012, she was named Artist of the Year by Texas Music Magazine. It was at this point, by the way, that people in the music industry began calling me at the Hall of Fame, saying they were embarrassed for not seeing how brilliant she is. She won Emerging Artist of the Year at the 2017 Americana Awards. In 2020, the High Women's debut album went to #1 on the charts, and they were nominated for the Academy of Country Music's Group of the Year and also received CMT nods. Amanda is a legend. She is a groundbreaker, a trailblazer. She almost gave up music when the industry disrespected her because they didn't understand her genius. As a songwriter and a storyteller, her vulnerability takes your breath away. Imagine taking all of your most personal thoughts and feelings about yourself, your work, your relationship, and sharing them with the entire world. That's the definition of bravery. She's an advocate for women in this industry and for reproductive health care. To quote the Los Angeles Times, she's become a coveted presence at the intersection of nervy artistry and activism for folk and country acclaim, rock attitude, and Nashville influence. People in Nashville have told me that she's dangerous. Damn right she is. Frankly, the direction she is going is the future, a blending of all the genres. But as much as she is a country rock superhero, her origin story is here in West Texas, where compelling ground shakers are created. I've worked in this industry for about 25 years, and everywhere I go, people ask me what the deal is with musicians coming out of West Texas, and I can confidently say that Amanda Shires is this West Texas alchemy personified. Amanda Shires is a songwriter and also a poet. A Texas Tech alum, she also has a Master of Fine Arts in Poetry from Sewanee, the University of the South. Amanda moved from Lubbock to Nashville in 2004, the same year I moved from Lubbock to Cleveland, Ohio to work at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I recently went to see her perform in Columbus, Ohio on her Take It Like a Man tour, and we were laughing over memories and humbled by a conversation we had 20 plus years ago when I told her I predicted that one day she would be inducted into the West Texas Walk of Fame and that I would be the one to induct her. Look at us now, kid. To quote another poet and one of Amanda's greatest inspirations and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Leonard Cohen, "Oh, like a bird on the wire, like a drunk in a midnight choir, I have tried in my way to be free." This Cohen song ruminates on the impossibility of freedom in a world rife with tethers. Amanda, you are free, and you are liberating us all. It is one of the biggest pleasures in my whole life to welcome Amanda Shires into the West Texas Hall of Fame.
Well, let me just speak this over you. Here's the proclamation.
Was that a short joke?
No! But it would be a good one. Lubbock and the West Texas area are rich in heritage and contributions from many gifted people in the fields of art, music, and entertainment. The Board of Directors of Civic Lubbock, Inc. takes pride in honoring Amanda Shires as one of these outstanding contributors and pays tribute to the individual and the great talent exhibited. West Texas Walk of Fame inducted 2022.
Scared I was going to drop it. Yes, please. So, this is crazy. I see so many of my teachers here. My heroes behind me, I can hardly speak. Fiddle-in hero. My family's here. Some of them flew here, and all my friends are here, people I recognize. Anyway, it means more to me than you'd know that you'd be here. Whether you came here for me or Jody, we'll never know. I had this little tiny thing I wrote, and it goes, I will drop that. My plan was to talk less. That's always my plan. I shouldn't have wrote it. I just basically wanted to say thank you. My foundation in music here is irreplaceable, and it has everything to do with what I do with my art. Thanks.
Amanda, thank you so much for that. And Shelby, thank you for the wonderful introduction for Amanda. I wonder if we could also ask for a song tonight. We were fortunate that she was touring for her new album, which, Shelby's right, Take It Like a Man, that album, track 1 is a knockout, but the whole album's great. She brought her band. Amanda Shires, everybody.
I'm not going to play any songs from that because you could just go buy that record from Ralph's Records. But I will do a song after somebody gets done printing, whatever they're printing.
So, speaking of free, that's my goal. The closest thing I know that looks free and probably isn't because, well, got that decibel thing happening. 2K to 6K, David, what is it? 6? I just don't want to squeal on everybody's good night. Anyway, here goes this one. Oh, these are my friends. They're in my band, they just happen to be my friends. This is Vosh Rothman on the drums and Zach Sedgefield on the guitar. Thank you, Zach. I've got pointy shoes on. Like a bird, careless, weightless, and free. I wanna look like a bird, careless, weightless, and free. To perch like a yellow hammer, to have a crackle's gait, to wander marigold blossoms, feather and fly away. Like the trees grew for standing, and they stand for me. Like the trees grow branches, and they stand for me. I wanna look like a bird, scissor wings and split the sky. I wanna look like a bird, like I know what it is to fly. Like I don't know about falling or what it is to cry. To look like a bird, weightless in the world and careless on the vine. Like a bird, stare raven cold and mean. Night hawks, night birds, they see through everything. Like I don't care or grieve, like I'd never been drunk on wine. To look like a bird, weightless in the world and careless on the vine. I wanna look like a bird, like I was meant to sing. I wanna look like a bird, like I know my place in the world. Like I know my place in the world. Like a bird, 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 like a bird.
Amanda, thank you so much and congratulations. I'm sorry. I don't want it to be over. Does anyone else want one more? Can we? It's just so much fun. I just don't want it to end. I just would love, Amanda, if you could do one more for us.
I'm not doing it by myself. I would love it if my hero came and joined me on the squealy microphone.
Y'all didn't know you were going to get a real treat like this tonight when you showed up, but Boy, this is about to be special. We're going to let them get set up here as they get ready to go. Yeah, we got a theme going here tonight with the fiddle players, don't we? Ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Shires, Jody Nix, and Carrie C. Banks.
All right. What an honor to get to play one with this young lady. Another Bob Wills classic. You want to guess it? Faded Love.
Three West Texas Walk of Famers, Jody Nix, Amanda Shires, and Carrie C. Banks, everybody. Congratulations again to all of our new inductees this evening. Thank you to the presenters and the family members for being here this evening. And thank you for being here to support this ongoing celebration of music and arts and our culture in Lubbock. Thank you, folks. That is all, because it doesn't get any better than that. Good night, everyone.